She stopped eating meat, and everything around her started to fall apart. When I read this line, I thought, this isn't really about food, is it? It's about desire, control, and reaction when someone says no. Today, I'm not doing a formal book review. I just want to share what it felt like to read the book Vegetarian by author Han Kang. The tension and emotions and lingering thoughts that staying long after I closed the book. Let's talk about it. How I read it. I first picked up the book The Vegetarian by author Han Kang back in April 2 months back, and I read a few pages and then I stopped. Something about it made me so uncomfortable and not wanted to read it. Because I don't want to get involved in lives of characters. It felt like I'm walking into a family who has lots of turmoils and sufferings are going on. And also, it was right after I finished reading Human Acts of Han Kang's another novel, and the pain I felt was still vivid and strong. A few months later, I tried again to read this book, The Vegetarian, and this time I couldn't stop reading. I finished it in one sitting. And if you read this book, you would understand. It is very hard to stop reading, especially chapter 2 and 3. And when I closed the last page, I just sat there for a while, not moving. And I read the book in Korean, the way Han Kang, the author Han Kang originally wrote it. And I wanted to feel each word exactly as she intended. And her sentences are quiet but sharp, and they cut you through you. I know it's really painful. And at the end of chapter 2, I literally screamed out loud. I said, oh no, please, no. If you read chapter 2, you understand what I mean. When I finished the book, I wrote one short line in my book, the last page. Say, oh my gosh, and then deep sigh. That's what I wrote. And then that was honestly how I felt when I finished reading this book. And I have to exhale everything I have been holding inside. This is the photo of me. For example, reading the first page of chapter 3. It's like shocked with a heavy heart. And now this section I would like to share about the story without spoilers. This story centers on a woman named Young-ae. She's the main character. And she, one day, decides to stop eating meat. A simple choice that quietly transforms everything around her. The novel unfolds in 3 parts. First through her husband's eyes, then her brother-in-laws, and finally her sisters. Through their perspective, we see how the people close to her struggle to try to understand what's really happening in her life, the Young-ae's life. And each chapter deeply describes the family members' thoughts and then lives. As I was reading, I often wished that I could hear Young-ae, the main character's her own voice more to understand what she was really feeling and what she was thinking. In the first section told by her husband, we mostly see the family's confusion and chaos as they try to respond to her sudden change. And then a second chapter, through her brother-in-law's eyes, the tension builds up, and I kept thinking, like in my heart, it's like, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. I keep saying no. And it made me so uneasy and almost afraid to turn the page. And then in the third chapter told by her sister, I could really feel her exhaustion. The pressure of taking care of Young-ae, her younger sister, without fully understanding her. And I related to her a lot. I found myself wondering, if I were her sister, what would I do differently? And would I really know how to help? As an older sister, the main character. And by the end, Young-ae becomes fragile and lost in her own world, and she imagined herself turning into a tree standing upside down and reaching toward the sky. And I thought, what am I even reading about right now? But that's the power of this story, that it takes you somewhere strange yet about us and human. And these shifting perspectives don't just tell a story, they make us question how we see someone who no longer fits our idea of normal. And now I would like to share my reading experience and reflections. So every time a new chapter begins, I caught myself thinking like, okay, who am I now? Because Han Kang, the author, has this incredible power. She pulls you in so deeply that you start to become the character immediately. And you feel their confusion, their pain, and their disconnection. I mean, you basically you become the character. And another book I have read by Han Kang is A Human Act. I mean, it has a similar structure. I mean, each chapter told from a different person's point of view. The Human Act too let us experience pain and suffering in the most direct and rare way possible. And if you're curious about Human Acts, I have shared my thoughts in another video, so you can find the review link here, either here or here. I will include a link. Compared to Human Acts, this book, Vegetarian, feels much quieter and takes place on a much smaller scale, but somehow it cuts even deeper. And while reading, I kept asking the author in my mind, because I really want to ask the author, like, what are you trying to tell me? I mean, why are you doing this? And why are you creating so much drama in her family? And can they just accept Young's decision? And is this real? Or like, are you trying to say something about the human nature? I mean, I have so many questions to ask the author, Han Kang. And after read this book, the two images stayed with me. The first image is the tree, because the main character, Young keeps saying she is like a tree, that she doesn't need food and only she needs sunshine. And that image of a tree keeps returning like a dream. And then the second image is the violence. I mean, the scenes describing what the Young and then her sister experienced from their father when they were young, and even from their husband. And the descriptions are brief, but that makes them hit even harder. So tree and violence, two images really stayed with me. And also in the third section, the Young's older sister's point of view, the Young's sister tried to understand the cause of Young's pain. So she asked herself a series of what-if questions, like what if they hadn't grown up with the violence from their father? And what if Young had not married that husband? I mean, she tried to figure it out, what really caused of her sister's pain. And I find myself wondering too, like if the family had simply accept Young as a decision to become vegetarian, it's not a big deal, right? Would they all have lived happily even after? And what happens when someone refuses to live the way the world expects them to? So while preparing this video, I mean, I prepared my script, and then I realized how much this book like stirring my thoughts and emotions. So these are my actual script note, full of descriptions, full of questions and feelings I couldn't hold back. And I think that's what The Vegetarian, the book, does. It makes you pause and think deeply, and sometimes even argue with yourself to find why and try to find the answer. And now I like to share journaling prompts. So after finishing The Vegetarian, I had so many thoughts I couldn't quite put into words. So journaling helps me slow down and make sense of what I was feeling. So if you'd like to reflect, here are a few gentle prompts you can write about. 1. Which image from the book stayed with you and why? 2. Where did you feel uncomfortable and what boundary did it touch? And then 3. If you could ask the author Han Kang one question, what would it be? And then 4. What boundaries do we need to keep in our family relations? Like how much can we get involved or try to fix others based on our own standards? And what does healthy boundary look like to you? So those are a few gentle journal prompts to reflect our thoughts and emotions after reading this book. And when we write in a journal, I mean, we don't need to write long answers, it's just a simple one single honest sentence, one sentence line can help you understand what a story stirs inside you. Here is a conclusion. So the book Vegetarian is the second Han Kang novel I have read, and I still have 4 more books waiting on my shelf. And honestly, I'm not ready yet. Maybe I'll read them when my heart feels a little stronger. Han Kang's story don't just show suffering; they make you feel it right alongside the characters. So if you want to experience that kind of intensity, I really recommend this book to you. Well, because I don't want to be only one who goes through that pain and intensity. And the main character, Young Han, stopped eating meat, and the world around her began to fall apart. Not because she became vegetarian, but because she made a choice her family could not accept. And if he had been any other decision, the same turmoil probably would have happened again. And thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you here again at Moon Reading Noon very soon. Bye!